I think I've always known that some man was destined to come into my life and ruin everything, but I wasn't expecting it to be Nathan Lane in a top hat. Honestly, I didn't see it coming.
Placeholder introduction. Alright. Ah!
Horror movies have always been a very polarizing subject in my mind, because on one hand, I can empathize with the ooky spooky themes and the scary atmospheres, but none of it has ever been relatable enough to really immerse me in terror. The only movie in the entire genre that has ever launched me into a visceral discontent for living in my own skin is the 1997 slapstick comedy Mouse Hunt, starring Nathan Lane. No, please don't go. I get it. I can explain. Okay, so Mouse Hunt is a film about two men, Ernie and Lars, who discover that a house they inherited from their deceased father is actually worth millions of dollars, and all they have to do before they sell it is get rid of a single mouse. But honestly, the plot's not that important. What I want to focus on today is how the movie, either artfully or accidentally, focuses its entirety around cringe. And I'm not talking about cringe humor, I mean just cringe. But before I go over that, let's take a step back and define what cringe is. That look dark. Caring too much about your aesthetic. That's cringe. In Melissa Dahl's book Cringeworthy, she defines cringe as the experience of physical tightening in your gut and the flush in your cheeks and the sweat in your palms and the panic in your heart when you've totally, utterly embarrassed yourselves. And this feeling is caused by a forced sense of awareness. And that usually makes you cognizant of the disappointing fact that you aren't living up to your own self-concept. You know, super fun stuff. So in shows like The Office or The Comeback, cringe humor is generally represented by someone presenting themselves to be incompatible with reality or doubling down on a flawed method of social acceptance.
Oh, it's so good. I'm sorry, it's just so good. Gotta get some... Angry hurts my throat.
However, Mouse Hunt hits different than most TV and reality shows in a way that is so audacious and painful to watch. The motivation behind Ernie and Lars is to just sell a house, make some money, and move on with their lives. The house was owned by their decrepit father whom they had a poor relationship with, and they didn't grow up in it, so the house has no sentimental value to them. So the idea of looking at this house and only seeing dollar signs is not a flawed perspective. If Marie Kondo were here, trust me, she would be grabbing a sledgehammer herself. Now, the mouse, on the other hand, is actually established to have a sentimental relationship to the house. But if the house is already falling apart and the brothers are trying to sell it to the highest bidder, then ideally the mouse is about to be set up with a refurbished home and possibly new people living there that he will be eventually able to scavenge off of. So it kind of looks like either character is about to be set up with a double win. But instead, we have, in some cases, a literal cat and mouse being played out by these three characters when in reality they don't have to interact at all. Great, so that's how the film is established. And maybe this is just me being a super compassionate Aries with a Gemini rising moon, ooh. But the cringe, for me, is highlighted because the motivation of Ernie and Lars is highlighted so rapidly. It becomes hard to define where these men will stop in order to get rid of this one rodent. First, we start off with a single mousetrap. And when that doesn't work, we elevate to an entire floor covered in traps. It's a little desperate, kind of a lot, you know, not loving that look for you. Inversely though, the mouse is established to be hyper intelligent. In that same scene, the mouse is literally doing gymnastics in the kitchen just to fuck with these men. And this clear level of intention, tied together with the unhinged motivations between both parties, all mixed together with this music playing in the background, it all makes me so uneasy. I'm literally shaking right now. In her book, Dahl goes on to explain that the act of cringing at something can be very beneficial. Recognizing something as cringe can inform our brains how not to act in society. And when we approach cringy circumstances head on, like, say, talking to a person of color about how race has affected their lifestyle, we can grow and learn to be more sympathetic towards others instead of just avoiding the conversation because we're afraid of being awkward. But this movie's not about relationships, and the only thing I have contempt for is this wig. Now, I don't think this was done on purpose. However, I think the movie perfectly displays what I am calling disaster cringe. Instead of watching something bad happen in the context of an accident or stupidity, the movie brings you in to make you sympathize with these characters, and then, over time, they destroy their lives. The scene directly after the one with the mouse traps has Ernie and Lars trying to vacuum up the mouse. Cut to the mouse leading them to hit a septic tank as they accidentally create a ticking time bomb of sewage inside the pressurized vacuum. Okay, pause this for a moment. All these men are trying to do is sell a house that means nothing to them, and their biggest obstacle is a mouse that doesn't understand the concept of renovation. My brain is Cringe. Oh, and we're just getting started. This all happens in the first 35 minutes. Next, a dead body gets thrown from its casket into the sewer drain and never seen again. Then, the mouse straight up murders a feral cat and Christopher Walken. Some people are lit on fire. There's a massive explosion in the living room. Their bathtub slides into a frozen lake. Ernie and Lars go to town on the mouse with a shotgun. The mouse survives being mailed to another country. There's a riot with fed up factory workers. Then they flood the entire house in a bloodthirsty rage of just trying to get rid of this 8-ounce fur ball. But then, just as everything settles down, we get to this scene where Lars catches a thread of his clothing onto a yarn making machine and accidentally turns it on. And I'm stuck sitting here thinking that everything in this movie has taught me to expect the absolute worst. Is this movie gonna skin him alive? Is it gonna choke him to death? I don't know. And of course, this music is playing in the background, so I can only expect the worst to happen. And now I'm just waiting for this machine to resurrect Hitler. I don't know. Which is less plausible? Like a mouse doing backflips in a kitchen or Hitler being resurrected by a yarn machine? I have lost it. I have lost all of it. And now I just want to watch Alien so I can calm down. And the worst part is that our brains are built to remember cringe so aggressively because we are wired to remember important things in our lives. And when our guts clench and our palms get sweaty, our brain associates that as an important thing and it holds on to those memories. But that's all of this movie. I didn't even have to rewatch Mouse Hunt to make this video. The next time I'm gonna watch this movie is when I have to edit this video. So please comment something nice. No movie has ever made me feel this anxious or restless. Like, yeah, The Thing is scary, but at least you can hit it with a shotgun. Yeah, I'm done. That's the film. As of this recording, the movie is streaming nowhere, so you're welcome. Oh, also, I recently had a contest to see if anyone could guess this film when I was vaguely describing it, and 2 people actually guessed it right. Uncle Marcus on Instagram got it, and Michael Torres also got it. But he kind of walked back to his statement. Like, I didn't get like a solid like final answer vibe from him, but I don't care. I'm gonna both send you 20 because why not? Anyway, to you two, cheers, well done, and yeah, to everyone else, have a great day. Have a better day than me. Alright, I'll see you later. Oh, I guess spoilers, but honestly, this movie isn't about the plot, it's about how it makes you feel. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh.